My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
All right, license plate FUELOP, Fuel Op. License 7TEZ899, DK15N94, that's paper. License plate 0055140, that's Michigan. License plate, look at the cute pen. License DC2484, and that's California, I think. No, that's Maine. Sorry. License 7SKC388. By the way, inside of the parking lot of the Holiday Inn, the entity engaging in surveillance group stalking, maintaining presence in the path, doing so by the people of the state who are just up in the middle of the night, maintaining, you're understanding what is group stalking, what is at all times maintaining somebody present in the path. I have 3 shadows in front of me. These are indeed group stalkers who are making sure someone is present in the same way that you saw the sun rise that was bouncing off of the Motel 6 window into the depths of the first floor lobby through the back. And I'm laughing because it's ridiculous. It's openly demonic. In the same way that the entity is stalking with light, so are the people of the state who are stalking. Doing so in the dark hours. It's 5:49 a.m. and someone is always present. You'll see a group stalker sitting on the bench. You'll have I'm going to take pictures of it. Group stalking by maintaining a trailer. The people of the state that are up at whatever hour to make sure someone is there in the path. Group stalking. License YAKIO70. It's the same Winco company, not necessarily the same Winco truck. And the people of the state are engaged in the same conduct, doing some variation of the same exact P.O.C. while they listen to me point out their criminal conduct. Their same exact stalking system. So I'm going to capture images of what is group stalking in the parking lot. This is surveillance. This is P.O.C. All right, license 7YOU 461. Triple shadows while crossing path. License 5RA7AN9HLW955. And that is the people of the state that are engaged in surveillance. You'll see the image of the trailer doing the exact same thing that the entity does with large trucks in this parking lot. 4XOA554, the license plate of a disabled vehicle, a Lancer. 1NJ4207 is the license plate of the trailer. This is a Caucasian male engaging in surveillance in the parking lot. And he has triple shadows while he's crossing path. That's the light activity at nightfall. Okay, so let me show you my 3 shadows in front of me. This is the impossible light activity while then you're looking across the street from you and you're understanding what is the identification of stalking. In the same way that you're looking at the fake sun that's directly over you while you're looking at the people that are all around you. That's understanding what is recognizing gang stalking in the specific environment. It's 5:51 a.m. by the way, on September 3rd, 2024. (9HLP 406 5JTK 600 1589905. That's a California exempt license plate, by the way. License 71982K3 9HPN 334. This is Nebraska 8D4726. Again, that's Nebraska 9MNH547 5XHP 612. And the white Tesla 9CVJ074. It is 5:54 a.m. on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, capturing the license plates of the people of the state who are group stalking, staying at the facilitating venue of Holiday Inn, which is engagement in what a commercial means of engaging in state surveillance, for which Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally. And the people of the state are also going to be prosecuted while they act as one. This is the population acting against an American citizen, keeping them under surveillance. License plate 9JGJ159, 9NLX860. 59687Z1, 594ZXY, that's Nevada, 8EQA108, and the same NCI commercial vehicle. That license plate is 18DMBL. And right across the street in the dirt area of behind the bakers, the demons are stalking in large trucks, in the same way that they're doing in the parking lot behind the hotel room, in the parking lot where Motel 6 is in alignment. Across the street is also in alignment. Method of stalking with light activity using large trucks. The people of the state are going to be prosecuted. These large trucks are commercial means that cross state lines routinely while they're engaging in federal stalking and group stalking. And they're literally using the trucks as a means of massive facilitation, and it's very highly demonic as well. It's currently 5:56. I'm going to give you images with regard to what is criminal conduct that Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted for while demons are across the street, monitoring with them, creating light activity in the path using large trucks to do so, just like they're doing in the parking lot and behind the hotel. This is what they're doing right across the street facing the hotel. All right, and it's 5:56 a.m. All right, what you're looking at is the means of light activity and relevant positioning. Doing so, again, at the 7-Eleven, which I'm going to go ahead right on across the street and document, because why not? It's 5:56 a.m. This is called surrounding with light activity, and this is what 7-Eleven is doing all day long while the fake sun remains directly over this hotel all day long. And the entity even has the fake sun that's over the hallway window right above my head, going from, by the way, the side of the building to the back of the building when I go from my hotel room to the hallway. License 8WKC506 and license F5A3XN, engaging in a sex offense, molestation. And this is, again, license 55034N3. Group stalking at the 7-Eleven, using a large truck, keeping the truck parked with the lights on, light activity. MY281 handicap, molestation 37914S2. 7-Eleven is group stalking, which you know that you see the fake sun over me while this 7-Eleven remains in relevant positions. State surveillance is what 7-Eleven is engaged in. A sex offense on behalf of the state, engaged in criminal summoning. Every time the entity is sounding sirens, 7-Eleven is engaged in criminal summoning. 06473M2, 40710B1, 8 HSV 565, 8 DST 068. Playing your loud music is a means of audible activity, a demon stalking in the path. While you got multiple shadows, same venue where the fake sun is over me all day long. This is P.O.C. 9FXV062. And it is currently 5:58 a.m. The entity is group stalking with the demons who are across the street. We're using the large trucks as a means of light activity, which again, the entity has been molesting with engineered light. They're going to be prosecuted as sex offenders, engaging in state surveillance. Demons that were group stalking at the 7-Eleven while the entity was group stalking by the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department days ago under the fake sun. The license plates that I documented in that video and on podcast are going to federal prison. All right, so the entity is engaged in the P.O.C. I just walked over right now, and doing so, just documenting those who, this is a venue that's engaged in 24-hour surveillance while I remain inside of the Holiday Inn where the sun is rising and setting. 7-Eleven is right on the opposite side of the brick wall. They're engaged in surveillance, not the legitimate operation of a business. No free private conduct whatsoever. So I just wanted to go over there and get that real quick. That's what's relevant to facilitation. Facilitation is enabling everyone else to keep an American citizen under surveillance as well. It's a very serious federal offense. Group stalking is a prosecution for group stalking as in violation of federal law, and it's also the prosecution for facilitation of group stalking. That is helping the government and everyone else keep someone under surveillance, which is to conspire together, which is what a bunch of demons are doing, group stalking you, monitoring you, and also engaged in surveillance online, having the audacity to then try to stop you from publishing the evidence on the internet. Okay, a bunch of delusional psychopaths are going to federal prison for that. All right, it's currently 5:59 a.m. on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. This is P.O.C. Hi, I don't think I met you before. What's your name?
Maria?
Maria, hi Maria. I have a question. Do you guys have orange juice here?
Orange juice over there on the machine.
Oh, okay, thank you. Orange juice is working today. Good morning. All right, it is currently 6:45 p.m. capturing the sunset, which is in alignment to my hotel room, my person where I'm standing on the third floor inside of the same apartment where I captured the sunrise 12 hours earlier, which I'm documenting in the 6 a.m. hour. This is recognizing amplified audible activity, which U.S. Foods is the source of. I'm capturing impossible light activity on the side of that U.S. Foods truck, which is also means of light activity. This is what they're used for purposes of light activity also when they're stalking, engaging in surveillance. In the night, and especially when I'm uploading evidence, a demon will crawl into a large truck, use them as light activity, just as I captured across the street this morning during the 5 a.m. hour with the trucks. Those are demons sitting in their trucks with the lights on, very demonic. This is what they're also doing when they're engaged in corporate invasion of privacy and federal stalking. U.S. Foods license plate is 9F08701. The sound of the truck is amplified audible activity that's heard inside of my room while you're looking at the fake sunrise in perfect alignment with my room. And again, I'm in Hesperia, California, and impossible light activity is appearing on the side of that truck as though the sun would be setting at the same address and ricocheting off of the building of the Holiday Inn onto the surface, the side of the truck. That's engineered light, and that's a source of light activity. That's the P.O.C. U.S. Foods is engaged in state surveillance, and it's also the prosecution for what's a sex offense. As you can hear, the truck goes off literally as I'm standing beside it, documenting it, which is also audible activity creation, and it's very demonic. Again, license 9F08701, and that's California 20646. 9 US.358597. This is what demons are using, commercial means, and since the entity uses commercial means, products, companies to engage in demonic elements of monitoring, which is terrorism, sexually violent in a private space, terrorism in concert with the entity and with the government directly. The entity is going, this in particular, the driver of this truck is going to federal prison for systematic facilitation for impunity with regard to the sex offense as well, and also the civil prosecution of U.S. Foods. It's 6:47 p.m. on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2022. And again, capturing the impossible light activity that's on the side of the truck. And as I walk beside the truck literally turns off. Okay, I just want to be clear, it's very demonic, everything that I'm documenting. These large trucks are not on automatic engine start like my Nissan that can start with remote control. This is demonic, what you're witnessing. Okay, and the entity is monitoring while I'm documenting it. 66341W1. That's a license plate group stalking, and license plate 5VNP230. Driving in the parking lot where engineer lights all over the hotel, where the fixings in alignment with the hotel. This is the demon engaging group stalking. Driving to the end of the parking lot to engage in the position on behalf of the government. This is license 4X08554. You will see the old sex offender. All right, who's wearing the veteran hat. He was documented on the first day that I was here. He is still engaging in surveillance of a woman. He's going to be prosecuted as a violent sex offender and the domestic terrorist that he is while he's stalking in the parking lot. That's what he's doing. And then again, the lying in wait conduct is not a coincidence that as I walk out of my room, he is present to cross path and walk on the hallway for purposes of group stalking. That's the lying in wait conduct. That's what demons are doing, anticipating your movement and doing so with regard to their knowledge that you are also documenting them. That sort of psychotic stalking conduct, which is demonic in nature, equals federal prison. License 05888W1, license 95135U3, license 45344M3, license 7KKC791. The entity is now maintaining the sound of a horn, incessant horn for audible activity. The same entity is group stalking. I'm documenting 7-Eleven, I'm documenting Baker's, I'm documenting Motel 6, I'm documenting the High Desert Gateway Center. They're all engaged in the elements of monitoring where the sun is rising and setting in alignment to me. They're all engaged in federal stalking. The entire entity is being prosecuted. 65193S2. License 7YOU461. I'm also documenting the state of California. Every fire department, every demon-possessed company utilizing ambulances engaged in the P.O.C. The entities engaging in group stalking through the corrupt agency, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department as well. 9G26345, 24744N1, 734JQE, that's Oregon. I read that one. 51548R3. License 9E65112. And the same license plate, they're going to federal prison. Paper on the block of an RX 350 Lexus, license DK15N94, 7TEZ899. They're going to federal prison as well. License Another SMT. SMT is a commercial actor. There's a Caucasian male driving an SMT pickup truck, documented engaged in surveillance under the fake sun in the morning. All right, this is 12 hours later, 6 p.m. The entity is maintaining the specific environment. SMT is employees are engaged in state surveillance, and I don't see any license plate on this truck. I'm going to document the commercial name though. Is equally relevant. SMT Superior Modular Transport is affiliated with Stalking, California. I'm going to capture images of this. All right, the entity is group stalking. The demons that are driving on KeyPoint are driving through what is impossible light activity. That's how a population is monitoring as well. 35379C2, every company, like I'm documenting SMT, like I'm documenting Winco Foods, like I'm documenting the entire shopping plaza. That's a High Desert Gateway Shopping Center, who are simultaneously right now engaged in criminal surveillance. They're engaged in light activity. They're engaged in relevant positioning. They're engaged in what is ongoing federal stalking with impunity, posing an unlawful threat. I'm doing so under a fake sun and engineer light while the population is group stalking, driving on Keystone, and what is shade, you'll see impossible light activity appearing on their car. These are demons as one, as a population engaging in group stalking, and you will also be prosecuted while you're across the street group stalking and making money, which I'm going to drain the pockets of that entity. All right, so I just want to be clear, all of whom are part of this prosecution, while I remain at one hotel building, and I'm going to capture the fake sun where demons are pacing at KeyPointe and Main Street. Driving in impossible light activity in order to engage in the pattern of conduct. Driving in impossible light is the converse of driving by me and impossible light activity moving all across my person, face, breasts, thighs, buttocks, stomach, all over my body. In other words, they're doing the same thing. They're engaging in the combination of their presence, of their crossing path with my presence, and the light activity being a part of that action, that dynamic movement between us, which is again occurring with regard to everyone else that's group stalking as well. It's very demonic. It's not sunlight that they're driving through. The sun would not be present. First of all, 12 hours from the sunset at the same address. Second of all, creating any sunlight in the shade. They're literally driving in a shaded area, and light is just appearing out of nowhere for their demonic purposes of group stalking, state surveillance, and they're going to be prosecuted for that. I'm going to capture the fake sun right now. It is 6:53 p.m. when I'm capturing images of the fake sun when I'm standing at the same position and in the parking lot of the same exact Holiday Inn at 9750 KeyPointe Avenue in Hesperia. Remember, I am standing at the same location when during the 6 a.m. hour, the fake sun is also in alignment with my physical person. What you will also notice is moments early when I'm inside of my hotel room, the fake sun is not at the end, it's nowhere over the Motel 6 anymore. It's in alignment with where I am, which is beyond the building of the Motel 6. When I'm in my hotel room, that fake sun, which is still present at the same location 12 hours from the sunrise, those are demons and they're exhibiting their demon possession. This is how demons are exposing themselves, and you are aware of the fact of the reality of Satan. You're aware of the reality of the fact of a highly populated demon-possessed entity that's engaged in the pattern of conduct. The more that I speak to what Satan is doing, the louder Satan gets. They're doing it under a sunset that's 12 hours later from the sunrise at the same address, and they're doing it while I'm pointing out the very obvious fact, and as impossible as that it would be, the sun in alignment with my hotel room on the 3rd floor, where you can clearly see the Motel 6 building. When I move into the parking lot at the same physical location where I'm at 12 hours earlier, where the sunrise is captured in this location, I'm just looking to the opposite side and I'm looking at the sunset, and you will also see juxtaposing it to my location in my hotel room inside of the building. Now I'm standing outside of the building, and you will see the fake sun no longer over the Motel 6. It's in alignment with my person, which is not over any Motel 6 building. What you're speaking to, the presence of a crime scene. You heard demons amplifying audible activity. Those are the same demons, the people of the state who I'm documenting right now by High Desert Gateway criminal conduct. They're engaged in surveillance, not a lawful abiding business, no private activity. They're engaging in money, which I am going to, they're going to compensate me for. I'm going to recover for the state conduct that they're engaging on behalf of the state of California, state surveillance. All right, that High Desert Gateway Center is engaged in criminal surveillance. They're domestic terrorists, and all of the buildings, including Starbucks and Target and the mattress stores and Hobby Lobby, any and everything that is in there, I'm going to prosecute that entire shopping center. While you heard amplified audible activity, it's as demonic as these demons driving in the shade and impossible light appearing on the side of their car. But I want you to pay attention to those images that I just captured. 6:53 p.m. The entity is keeping a fake sun that's no longer in alignment with the Motel 6 building. It's in alignment with me, which is not over the Motel 6 building anymore. It's the reason why you see it over the Motel 6 building is because I am in alignment with the position of the Motel 6 building while inside of the hotel. That's showing you what the people are doing. The people are demons who are stalking in the engineered light. In the same way that demons are group stalking you, where the entity is stalking with light. The demons are also stalking with audible activity. All right, the entity is also engaged in stalking with activity in general. That is stalking with being present all of a sudden. If you do something, make a move, do anything on your phone, stalking with any method of light activity, and stalking with any method of audible activity. Also, when they are listening to the criminal activity being documented. All right, everything has significance with regard to what is criminal surveillance under a fake sun, by the way. These are idiots stalking under a fake sun. 9KYC 632. And also, you understand how this environment, not only is it literally reacting to me with regard to the demonic, not a natural environment, it's also that which is demonic, and the activity increases based on what I expose about the demons. Okay, 9CRF 476. That's the reality of Satan, who uses people. It's demon possession. All right, license 1589905. That's the same California exempt vehicle. 5XHP612, the same vehicle that was here at 5 o'clock in the morning. 35834V3, 8LDH270, 8RQP424, 180Z91. That's Nevada. 5 USD 663, 98984Y1, TROIA3. They're all engaging in. That's a demon from the corrupt institution, U.S.C. You need to know they're right in the middle of L.A. They're group stalkers, and they're educating group stalkers. They're celebrated with regard to their sports teams and whatnot. You need to understand that this criminal system, U.S.C. is filled with nothing but a bunch of demons who go to that institution, group stalking in the middle of L.A. And guess what? If I go to U.S.C., I go to that building, that institution, the fake sun's going to be right over me in Los Angeles. There's nothing impressive, in other words. While you're listening to somebody, I'm documenting them, and this is a demon engaged in criminal conduct, touting U.S.C. on their license plate. 9NLX860, just so that you are understanding, there is no difference, no distinction, there is no background that is any distinction to the pattern of conduct. 59687Z1 in the parking lot, group stalking. 1589910, another California exempt vehicle. So the other California exempt license plate that I just cited, those may be two different vehicles. 18DMBL Florida and 5KTD17 Massachusetts. So while the entity is amplifying audible activity, and while demons are driving in the shade and impulsive lights appearing on their car, the demons group stalking in the park. And by the demon, I mean 59687Z1, 8TMV663, and yeah, I read that one, 83260V2. The entity is engaged in the P.O.C, where I'm capturing the, I'm going to show you engineered light that's all over this, across the street in the little deserted sand area that's across the street from the Holiday Inn, where the sunrise is present in the morning through the entrance doors, and you're looking at engineered light that's all over this dirt area, as though 12 hours later the sun is in a position to aim any sunlight. This is the same analysis, the same crime scene that you saw in Los Angeles at the hillside. That's where the sun rises outside my living room window. 12 hours later, the sunrise is the sunset is through my bedroom window at the same apartment at the same address, and the engineered light is covering all over the hillside where the living room window had the sun rise. That's speaking to a crime scene exposing the entire state, a population, in other words, maintaining criminal presence in the specific environment. And these are the idiots that are stalking under a fake sun. License plate 7EXH077, 8EXW054, 9CJK173. License 8KEE949, sex offenders, tattoos on the face, okay? Those are the type of psychopaths and sex offenders that are group stalking with the government. 9HYK211, and then the demons will pull such characters over and talking about some sort of criminal activity that they're engaging in, and the people of the state, highly tattooed on their faces, engaging in sexual violence with the government, are playing cops and robbers, okay? License 8VUE860, license plate 8ZND151. All right, those demons are group stalking together. All right, that's the entity that's relying on criminals that you're judging as being distinct from demons who are wearing badges. The demons with tattoos all over their face with so-called gang affiliations, so are the corrupt police departments. They're gangs. And they're group stalking with those that are street gangs who are gang stalking together. How about that? gang stalking me together. The entities engaged in group stalking with those that have tattoos all over their faces, in and out of prison, in and out of the county jails, where the county sheriff and the corrupt police departments and the entity, a population of demons who don't have tattoos on their faces, who are in tow with 2- and 3-year-olds, group stalking and terrorizing with engineer light, are currently making money at a shopping center across the street, and you don't even have to know their name or identify them personally in order to prosecute them. And they are of the identical condition. 9GJJ659, license plate, sex offenders. 9LUU473, 2GHOOST, 7UPK478. And let me be clear, those are demons who are making the ongoing very brave decision to continuously engage in the pattern of conduct, because the entire entity knows that they're being documented, and so they cross path, jumping right into that federal prosecution. This is the reality about what the entity is aware of and what they continuously do. That's simultaneously exposing the mental illness. They're under a fake sun. Amongst amplified audible activity, amongst a documentation that is already pre-existing, what the federal government knows exactly what you're doing when you're driving down the street. It's criminal activity, and it's highly malicious on behalf of a state that has no ability to protect the people, who I'm going to prosecute to the furthest extent of the law. And also, Holiday Inn, a third-party innkeeper, is going to be specifically prosecuted civilly and criminally for facilitating the entire state to keep me under surveillance while the fake sun rises and sets at their venue where I remain, and also while I am documenting the demon-possessed employees who are group stalking at the Holiday Inn in Hesperia, by the way. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:02 p.m. All right, it is currently 8:25 p.m. on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. This is documentation specifying or detailing, providing context for the purposes of the podcast, and the still images that you will capture. So you will see U.S. Foods, which is a commercial actor. This is the people of the state. That is representing a commercial means of engaging in state surveillance. This is companies who are engaged in the ongoing conspiracy by the state to murder and kidnap American citizens. And U.S. Foods is engaging in that by the criminal placement in the path of a commercial vehicle, which is a means of amplified audible activity, which is a means of also impossible light activity, which is created by virtue of the placement of that vehicle, the movement of that vehicle, the operation of that vehicle. And you will also see the impossible light activity. This is 12 hours after the documented sunrise at the same address, the Holiday Inn. You are looking at the sunset. That is while I'm inside of my hotel room. That is over the Motel 6 in perfect alignment with me, because when I'm in the parking lot, you see that fake sun not over the Motel 6. It's beside the Motel 6, because I am positioned on the side of the Motel 6, which is speaking to the stalking that U.S. Foods is documented as engaging in. And U.S. Foods is also a means of criminal facilitation while you see impossible light activity on the side of that vehicle, that as though the sun would be present at the same location 12 hours from the sunrise, and as though that sunset, the placement of the sun, any sunlight ever, engages in shooting horizontally off of windows and buildings and then ricocheting onto a vehicle in the parking lot, which is what U.S. Foods represents, a surface for impossible light activity. This is what the people of the state are doing while they're driving in the parking lots, while they're driving all around in the streets and the highways. U.S. Foods is used as a surface where impossible light activity, as you can see, it's stationary on that vehicle, which is the entity also is using it as a means of amplified audible activity. U.S. Foods is also engaged in federal stalking. All right, so U.S. Foods is a company that's going to be treated as a person under federal law. U.S. Foods is also documented as engaging in criminal summoning with the state, while U.S. Foods, representing the people of the state, is being documented. All right, so the entity, again, all the fire departments, all the demons group stalking and ambulances, all the demons of the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. That department, I'm in the Hesperia district. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is group stalking, engaging in criminal summoning. This is the entity that is acting directly, while demons representing the state sound sirens, which is exhibiting demon possession in that engineered environment, sounding sirens, using the lights, and crossing path while they are all together, a demon-possessed population, group stalking one person, and then keeping under surveillance on the video of the internet via communication devices, and engage in the elements of monitoring as opposed to the legitimate use of emergency vehicles, which you know, because I'm also showing you screenshots of what is the sunrise and the sunset while I'm in the same parking lot. And this is speaking to a 12+ hour duration of time. The entity that is group stalking the specific environment is engaging in surveillance on the venue of the internet. The U.S. Foods license plate is documented on this podcast, and that driver is going to federal prison. They are on the property of Holiday Inn, who's going to be criminally prosecuted for engaging in criminal summoning, for engaging in what is group stalking, federal stalking with U.S. Foods, while that vehicle is parked on the property, fully engaged in that pattern of conduct, which Holiday Inn, while making $1, engaging in the conspiracy to murder and kidnap an American citizen, is fully engaged in that P.O.C. This is why you see Carlos, who's engaged in relevant positioning, as opposed to any constitutionally protected and private activity being on the job. This is a domestic terrorist and who is acting maliciously with the state, who is sounding sirens while he is working at the venue, a facilitating venue where the sunrise and the sunset is documented. An impossible occurrence. Carlos is exposed. This is a demon who was group stalking at a facilitating venue where the demonic pattern of conduct is underway, while the entire state of California's focus is on me, which is also a terrorizing circumstance, which Holiday Inn is going to compensate for. Okay. The demons who work at the venue are fully engaged in that demonic pattern of conduct. Okay. They're group stalking with the demons who they are checking in and out of this hotel, all of whom are group stalking with the state that engages in the ongoing criminal purpose to intimidate, retaliate, harass, and terrorize while they're keeping you under surveillance on the internet. Hence what you will see the documentation repeatedly sounding sirens. In this specific environment, you're not doing anything but group stalking. And so they're group stalking with the people of the state, and that is the state that is group stalking directly. The entity is doing so while it is engaging in what is criminal acts of obstruction of justice. That's what that is revealing, while the entity is monitoring the evidence against it. And under the circumstances, the entity is group stalking, terrorizing, and for surveilling the federal government. It's the most foolish criminal conduct that the entity, but this is, again, California is going to serve as an example to the rest of the country about what is absolutely intolerable and what will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law in ways in which it shall be respected and recognized for what it is. It's domestic terrorism, and it is a satanic system. And you have demons affiliated with the fire departments, demons affiliated with the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, which is a terrorist organization masquerading as a law enforcement agency, fully engaged in the P.O.C. This is why you have an outright departure, by the way, and this is how you know this beyond a reasonable doubt, that this is criminal conduct, because you have the scientific impossibility. Speaking to, there's a reason why that scientific impossibility is occurring. In other words, an outright departure from the sunrise and sunset at Alvarado Gardens, where LAPD, a terrorist organization, is group stalking, and that now the sunrise and sunset is in Hesperia, and there is no shared environment where the sunrise is occurring both over Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles and over Holiday Inn Express, through the windows, through the doors, the entrances, and the parking lot facing the Motel 6 vantage point at the same time. And it's also continuously occurring over this Alvarado Gardens apartment complex, as I showed through my living room window and my bedroom window in the evening, the same 12-hour duration of time context. Even as you isolate both venues, it's clearly not the sun. This is the criminal pattern of conduct, which is satanic at its core. And then as you juxtapose the two crime scenes, it is showing what the state is doing altogether, and the real-time knowledge that the state maintains while it is engaging in that system, and that it is also witnessing the rules that it is being surrounded by while it continuously engages in literally group stalking the federal government, because this is tantamount to what the entity is doing, to its own demise. So the entity is doing so while the federal government is increasingly documenting it for a federal prosecution, and doing so while aware of the fact that it's being documented, and is surrounded by insurmountable and irreducible evidence regarding its demon-possessed condition and real-time knowledge regarding its criminal conduct that was being documented. That's what the state of California is going to be prosecuted for, and that's what U.S. Foods represents, not a legitimate company. All right. The parked vehicle in the parking lot is a means of ongoing amplified noise, group stalking in relevant position, while then the entity literally engaged in just alternating the methods of audible activity. So the entity exchanged the sound of the loud vehicle, which is an engineered light. Remember, my shadow surrounds my person while you're outside. That's a demon group stalking in the parking lot in the engineered environment, and was doing so under a fake sunset that was in perfect alignment with me. That is going to be prosecuted under the people of the state going by the name of U.S. Foods, a criminal facilitator, a domestic terrorist, a violent sex offender. And that's exactly how that person, U.S. Foods, is going to be treated under federal law, acting with impunity. And the driver is going to federal prison. All right. So the entity is engaging in this conduct with real-time knowledge. And this is what's captured in screenshots. All right. This is what you will see as I'm uploading it to the Google Drive again for today, September 3rd, 2024. The entity repeatedly sounding sirens the more that I document. Again, this is the mental illness of the demon possessed that are exposed. And this is also why demons that are affiliated with law enforcement agencies, they're actually exposed as the terrorist organizations that they actually are. All right. And they're going to be subject to mental examinations, permanently removed from law enforcement. They're a mentally deranged state, which is shown through their criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring is a clear basis for removal and mental examinations upon removal and prosecution for engaging in state surveillance. All right. The entity that is demon possessed is mentally ill, in other words, and I am showing you their criminal conduct. And as they engage in that pattern of conduct, which is criminal, it is also simultaneously exposing their mental illness. All right. And that's the public safety concern, because Satan is real. Satan is using people. Satan is literally using the government here in America, keeping engaged in criminal surveillance, which is currently unconstitutional. All right. But the entity is engaging in that, which is seeking to conceal the reality of Satan, the reality of demon possessed, or literally just the personification. They're a bunch of Satan's vessels. They're walking and talking, exhibiting the personality of Satan, doing so maliciously, wanting to fit in with those that are not of that condition. All right. Conditioning what, for example, things such as demon possession looks like, acts like, behaves like, and that false depiction is intentional. And it's also speaking to what is a intentionally concealed mental illness. Not something that is being addressed or diagnosed, if you will, at least not directly, but it's certainly not being diagnosed with regard to all the ways in which what is mental illness by those who have spirits on them. And it is called something such as bipolar disorder, or something as such as narcissism. And so, like I said, with regard to mental illness in and of itself, I am merely referencing the ways in which this entity, which is, I'm speaking to what is demonic, seeks to conceal itself. Federal group stalking and monitoring is demonic activity. Only the demon possessed are group stalking. All right. And those that are group stalking, in other words, are also very highly mentally deranged. That is a public safety concern. Now, as I'm going to what is relevant to things that we're all familiar with, things such as mental illness, as it has been termed for us, we have been conditioned to accept certain things, to look a certain way, and to be diagnosed in a certain manner. And I have been subject to the pattern of conduct in California. Quote unquote, mental illness is a basis upon which the state is abusing, all right, these conditions. And I also want to speak to the entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct, abuses things such as the Welfare and Institutions Code to kidnap American citizens. The entity engages in the pattern of conduct to criminally defame, that is falsely depict the targeted individual as mentally ill. That's what I'm referencing when I'm calling out those conditions that are referred to as mental illness. And you're actually dealing with a whole population that has a concealed condition, which it's not concealed to you anymore. You are able to identify it wherever you're at. You're able to identify it. All right. And be aware of it now. But it is also speaking to what they don't want you to know about. And you also know it based on the ongoing malicious and obsessive and desperate endeavor to hide amongst normal people like myself. I am not demon possessed. Satan does not have a hold on me. Satan is focused on me. Satan is targeting. So we are in a surveillance society in the United States. There are those who are being targeted while this surveillance system is underway. Okay, that's the distinction. And so that is what we're told in this surveillance society about what mental illness looks like, and how, how these things are treated. In reality, you have a population of people that do not have this diagnosis. They are treated as normal. They're treated as distinct from those that have clearly recognized characteristics of so-called mental illness. And so that's deliberate. That's all I'm getting to. Okay. I am not addressing the fact or speaking to everyone that has, for example, suffers from depression is demon possessed. I'm not making such far-reaching conclusions like that. Okay. I myself has been what the entity would categorize as depressed, meaning I've had a bad day before, and the entity would categorize that, oh, you're depressed. That's exactly what the entity does. And I'm not demon possessed in doing so. Okay. Because I'm making what is occurring When we are not dealing with the spiritual, we're merely dealing with the carnal. And many things that are happening with regard to the mind states and the so-called mental illness of people, there's a spiritual issue behind it. That's all I'm getting to. And I am also not stating the fact that one is, for example, depressed, which is categorized as a form of mental illness, which I don't even necessarily agree with that. But like I said, I'm going to digress there. My specialty is in the law. But with regard to the malice of a government that's abusing things such as mental illness, I am speaking to the fact that it is intentionally mischaracterized and defined in a certain way in order to conceal those who are around you every single day, and they are mentally ill. They're group stalking in the U.S. And they're going about around children. They're engaging in state surveillance. They're a part of law enforcement agencies, fire departments. They're working in hospitals, calling themselves nurses and doctors. They're demon-possessed. They're group stalkers, and they're mentally ill. And they seek to conceal that condition. They are even psychiatrists and therapists, and they're mentally ill, diagnosing mental illness. That's what I'm getting to. So understand what it is that I am describing with regard to the condition of demon possession, which is known through the engagement in the elements of monitoring. It's demonic activity when you're group stalking. Okay, only demons are group stalking, only demons. And that condition, that mental illness, that mental psychosis, which is discerned, I've given the evidence in order to prosecute it. And it's also evidence that everyone can see and witness together. And what is also known, what you need to know, is that these are highly mentally deranged people, and they don't want you to know that. And they are literally walking, talking time bombs. They are the reality regarding the crimes that are occurring, and it's given to us in the evening news as mysteries and ongoing investigations. These are the demons who are engaging in these crimes in this country. It's not something that's, there's no hints, there's no indication regarding any sort of threat. It was just out of the blue. There was no pre-existing criminal record. There's no explanation behind why. There's no motive. And that's a lie. That's deception. I'm letting you know about those who are walking around every day concealing a mental illness, and it's based on their condition, what Satan is doing amongst the population. That's what I'm getting to. So do not mistake what it is that I'm describing, what it is that I am seeking to expose with regard to the criminal prosecution and this criminal conduct, which is demonic at its core. And this demonic behavior is speaking to a concealed mental illness, a mental illness that is not being addressed by those who are purportedly diagnosing mental illness. I have been subject to this criminal system that is highly malicious, and those that are in a position to engage in so-called diagnoses are not only making up information, which is criminal defamation, they're engaging in it for the purpose of misleading the masses and concealing their own mental illness. That's what Satan, high-level deception, that's what Satan is engaging in. And it is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is the criminal act of obstruction of justice to silence those who are being targeted while this system of surveillance is already underway in the U.S. It's already underway. All right, so it's currently 8:41 p.m. This is just giving context regarding what U.S. Foods, which represents nothing other than the people of the state. Remember, everyone else that's around while the fake sun is rising and setting, while now I'm at the hotel in Hesperia, California. High Desert Gateway Shopping Center is group stalking and is engaged in surveillance. That's a high-level threat, the highest threat, while the government itself uses its position to group stalk you. And they're in relevant position at the High Desert Gateway Shopping Center, monitoring as well, engaging in federal stalking. In other words, every company, every business, every store, for example, Target, who you saw on video group stalking, they're engaged in federal stalking while I'm documenting minute by minute criminal summoning. And it's the ordinary target individual is documenting these sorts of things in that specific environment. And it is intended to threaten your life, threaten your safety, threaten your liberty. All right. It threatens your mindset while they're engaged in psychological torture, while they are surveilling the evidence that you're publishing on the internet, while they are group stalking you in concert with the people of the state who you are documenting, whom they cannot defend in federal court, nor can the government itself defend itself in federal court. And that's the implosion of the system of group stalking, that whole bully system. You're breaking it all apart. All right. Anyway, it's currently 8:42 p.m. on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, and this is P.O.C.